Hello, this is Dr. K. Throughout this series of videos, I'm going to walk you through the NetBeans e-commerce tutorial. Now, this is a long tutorial, and we're going to manage that length by doing a little bit each week. If you take a look at the NetBeans tutorial on the web, you'll see that it was created all the way back in 2008, which seems like a long time ago in terms of web application development. Now, certainly a lot has happened in web technology since then, and we'll talk about other technologies in the second half of this course. But with regard to Java web applications, the overall architecture has remained fairly stable. If we come to something in the tutorial that no longer applies or needs to be updated, I'll mention it. Fortunately, that doesn't happen too often. Let's begin with the design of the web application that we're going to develop. Here's the starting scenario. There's a small grocery store located in the city of Prague. Prague is a city located in the Czech Republic. The name of the store is The Affable Bean. The store has relationships with local farmers who produce organic produce and other food. The store found that 90% of their customers have high-speed internet access, and 65% of their customers say they would be interested in trying online delivery. So our job is to create a website based on Java technology that will allow the users of this store to shop online. Here are some of the requirements for the application. There are 4 categories of products: dairy, meats, bakery, and produce. Naturally, each category contains multiple products, and each product has a name, a description, a price, and so on. Now, as far as shopping goes, we want to be able to add items to a shopping cart, remove items, update item quantities, view a summary of all the items in our cart, and place an order. All the things you would normally like to be able to do with an e-commerce application. The web application will have an administration console so that staff can view customer orders. The application has to be secure because customers are entering their credit card information, and the application should support both English and Czech. Here's a simple use case for the application. The customer visits the welcome page and selects one of 4 categories. The customer then browses the products in the selected category on the category page. They choose a product and add it to their shopping cart. They may do the same for other categories and other products as well. Once a customer has all the items they want in their shopping cart, they view the cart, which takes them to the cart page. And they make any changes they want to the cart, like removing items or updating the quantities. Then they hit the checkout button, which takes them to the checkout page. Here, the customer has to fill in their personal information and submit it. Once they submit their personal information, they're taken to the confirmation page, which provides a summary of their order and a tracking number. Let's look at some mock-ups of some of the pages. First, let's look at the welcome page. You can see that there is a header area that contains a logo, the site name, and a couple of buttons or fields at the top. One field tells you how many items you have in your cart, and there's also a button that lets you toggle between Czech and English. The main area of this page is divided into a left and right section. The left section gives you some information about the site, and the right section gives you the 4 food categories you can choose to shop in. On the bottom of the page, there's a footer section that just gives some links to a privacy policy and contact information. When you select a particular category, this is the page that you see. The first thing to notice is that the header and the footer are exactly the same, except that in this header we have added a couple of buttons for viewing the cart and proceeding to the checkout. In the main section, the middle section, we again have a left area and a right area. The left area gives you the categories, and the right area gives you a table containing the various products in the category that you have selected. The table gives you detailed information about each product, an image, name, description, and price. Each product also has a purchase button so that you can add the product to your cart. When you decide to view your cart, you go to the cart page. Again, the header and the footer are the same as the other pages, except that some of the buttons in the header are hidden, like they are on the welcome page. The cart page shows you the items in your cart and allows you to update the quantity. It also provides some buttons that let you clear the cart, continue shopping, or proceed to the checkout. Once you proceed to checkout, you get a form that contains fields to capture customer details. To the right of that form, there's some legal information as well as the total price of the order and the delivery charge. Finally, the confirmation page is what appears once you submit the form from the checkout page. It contains an order number, an order summary, and customer details. Let's look at a business process flow diagram for the use case given earlier. In the use case, the customer starts at the welcome page where they can choose from one of 4 categories. Choosing a category takes the customer to the category page where they find a list of all the products in the selected category. From this page, the customer can add one of the products to their cart. Doing this will update the number of items in the cart, but it will not take them to a different page. In particular, it will not take them to the cart page. To get to their cart page, they have to click the View Cart button. Now, from the cart page, they see all the items they have added to their cart. They can manipulate the quantities here, which keeps them on the same page. They can continue shopping, which takes them back to the category page they came from, or they can proceed to checkout, which takes them to the checkout page. On the checkout page, they enter their personal information. Once they do, they click the Submit Purchase button, and that takes them to the confirmation page, which gives them their confirmation details. From the confirmation page, they can click the Affable Bean logo, which then takes them back to the welcome page. Most web applications use a high-level design pattern called the Model View Controller. As you might expect by the name of this pattern, it consists of 3 main subsystems. The first is the model. In the most abstract sense, the model is the state of the application and the methods that update or query that state. In web applications, the model is the database that the application uses and the support system for accessing and modifying the database. The view is the subsystem in the pattern that displays the information from the model to the user of the application. Since the view is just displaying information that's in the model, it can read information from the model, but it does not modify the model. Think of the view as the user interface or the graphical user interface. In terms of web applications, the view is what you see in your browser. So the view does not modify the model. But if you look at a web application, you do see buttons on the page that you can click. For example, to add a product to your shopping cart, you click a button. Or to enter your credit card information, you fill out a form and then click a button to submit it. Surely those events are modifying the model. Well, yes, those events are indeed modifying the model. But it's not happening directly. When one of these events occurs, it's handled by the third subsystem in our pattern, the controller. The controller decides what happens when a button is clicked, and if it needs to update the model because of that button click, the controller will update the model. Furthermore, based on that event, in this case the button click, the controller will also decide if the view that the user sees needs to be modified. For example, in a web application, if you click a button called View Cart, the controller will be the subsystem that determines that you should now see the cart page instead of, say, the product page. So the controller is really the component of the system that holds the internal logic of the application. And these three subsystems, the model, the view, and the controller, work together in the MVC, or Model View Controller design pattern, that's used in almost all web applications. Java EE, or Java Enterprise Edition, is an enhancement of Java and the standard Java libraries. It includes additional libraries, frameworks, and conventions that make it easy for you to build web applications. From the perspective of a Java EE web application, the model includes enterprise Java beans and Java persistent classes that allow you to interact easily with the database. The view consists of Java server pages, which combine HTML code with Java code. And the controller is a Java servlet that handles HTTP requests from the user. We'll learn more about all of those components as the course goes on. For now, just try to understand in general how an e-commerce application works. In the next video, we'll talk about how to set up your development environment so that you can get started on programming a Java web application.